I always thought my wedding day would be remembered as the happiest day of my life. The photos, the music, the speeches, the dance, all of it carved into memory forever. And it was carved into memory, but not in the way I ever wanted. Because instead of remembering the vows, I'll forever remember the image of my brand new wife bent over in a bathroom stall with someone who wasn't me. The day started like every cliche you can imagine. Jitters in the morning, my mom fussing with my tie, my best man joking about cold feet. I felt nervous but excited, like the rest of my life was about to finally begin. The ceremony went smoothly. She looked incredible walking down the aisle, radiant, glowing, smiling in a way that made me feel like the luckiest guy alive. I cried. Everyone cried. We kissed, people clapped, and I thought, this is it, this is real. At the reception, things got wild fast. Open bar plus my wife's side of the family was always a dangerous combination. Shots started flowing, the dance floor filled, and everyone was laughing. She was having the time of her life, dancing, spinning, laughing too loud, her cheeks flushed red. I thought it was cute. I thought she was just a little tipsy. I didn't know it was the beginning of the end. Hours passed, and I lost track of her in the crowd more than once, but each time I found her she was dancing with someone different, my cousin, her bridesmaids, random friends. I thought nothing of it. It was her night, our night. At one point, I noticed she was drinking more than usual. Like, way more. Glass after glass of champagne, tequila shots with her friends, someone handed her a cocktail I didn't even recognize. I joked to her, hey, don't black out before the honeymoon, and she laughed, slurring, never. I shrugged it off. She was happy. I was happy. I didn't want to ruin it. But then she disappeared for longer than usual. 10 minutes, then 20. I figured she went to the bathroom with her friends, it's what girls do, right? But then I realized her friends were all still on the dance floor, giggling, oblivious. My gut twisted, but I tried to ignore it. I asked around, no one knew where she was. Finally, I decided to check for myself. I walked toward the bathrooms at the far end of the hall, the music fading behind me, my shoes squeaking on the polished floor. At first, I heard nothing. Just muffled bass from the DJ. Then, as I got closer, I heard something that made my stomach drop. A thud. A giggle. And then a voice, her voice, whispering, shoo, someone might come. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd pass out. I pushed open the door, the smell of cheap disinfectant mixing with perfume, and I followed the sound to the stalls. And that's when I saw it. The door wasn't fully shut. Through the crack, plain as day, was my wife, my bride of 2 hours, bent over the sink, her dress hiked up, her veil slipping off her head. And behind her, one of my own groomsmen, hands halfway down, holding her hips. My vision tunneled. My ears rang. My body locked in place as if it couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. They didn't notice me at first. They were too busy. Too drunk. Too gone. And in that frozen second, watching my wife in her wedding dress with another man, something inside me broke. People always ask, what would you do if you caught your partner cheating? I can tell you the answer. You don't scream. You don't fight. Not at first. You just go silent. Because your brain can't compute the betrayal, can't process how everything you believed about your life just shattered in a single image. And standing there in that bathroom, that's exactly what happened to me. I don't remember making the decision to move, but suddenly my hand slammed the stall door so hard it flew open and banged against the wall. The sound echoed through the tiled bathroom like a gunshot. They both froze instantly, like mannequins caught mid-motion. My wife's head whipped around, her eyes wide, mascara smeared from sweat and tears of laughter that weren't funny anymore. The groomsman froze with his hand still on her, face pale, mouth opening and closing like a fish. For a second, none of us breathed. Then I heard my own voice, flat and hollow, cut through the silence. Are you kidding me? My wife stumbled, yanking her dress down clumsily, muttering, it's not what it looks like. That line. The line people always say when they know it's exactly what it looks like. My groomsman stammered, bro, listen, please, but my brain wasn't registering words anymore. It was just red, heat crawling up my neck, my chest tight enough to crack. I stepped forward, and the groomsman flinched like I was about to hit him. For one terrifying second, I wanted to. Every muscle in my body screamed to put him through the wall. But I didn't. I grabbed his shirt collar, yanked him past me, and shoved him toward the door. He stumbled out of the stall, pants still half down, tripping over himself like the coward he was. I turned back to her. My wife. My bride. Still half drunk, still trying to fix her veil like that mattered. Why? I asked. My voice cracked like a kid's. We've been married 2 hours. 2 hours. Tears welled in her eyes, but not guilt, fear. Fear of being caught. I was drunk, she whispered. I didn't mean, my laugh cut her off, sharp and ugly. You don't accidentally do that, not in your wedding dress, not in a bathroom with one of my best friends. I wanted to scream, but the words came out strangled, half a whisper, half a growl. And then the door opened. A groomsman, not the guilty one, another, poked his head in. Everything okay? We heard, he stopped cold, eyes darting from me to her to the mess behind us. His face drained of color. Oh, sh*t. In less than 5 minutes, the whole reception knew. That's the thing about weddings, gossip spreads faster than champagne. By the time I stormed out of the bathroom, dragging her behind me by her wrist, the music had cut off, people were whispering, turning, staring. My mother's face fell, her hand over her mouth. Her father's fists clenched. My best man looked like he'd swallowed poison. And then the groomsman, slipped back into the hall, trying to straighten his tie, face flushed, avoiding every set of eyes. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My wife started sobbing, slurring, please, it's not please don't, but her words were drowned out by the silence, the kind of silence that hurts worse than yelling. I stepped onto the dance floor, still holding her wrist, and shouted, she cheated. On our wedding night. With him. My voice cracked but carried. A collective intake of breath swept through the room. Her mother fainted. Someone's glass shattered. My father-in-law stormed forward, shouting, but I couldn't even hear him over the pounding in my head. My wife collapsed to her knees, begging, don't end it like this, please, I was drunk, I didn't know, but the image was burned into my brain forever. My best man walked up, put a hand on my shoulder, and whispered, we have to go. And that's when I realized something I'll never forget, the worst part of betrayal isn't the act itself. It's the humiliation. The knowledge that everyone saw, everyone knew, and your love story became a public execution in front of family and friends. So I let go of her wrist, turned to the crowd, and said, enjoy the party. I'm done. And I walked out, leaving her crying on the floor in her wedding dress. Walking out should have been the end, but weddings don't just stop when the groom storms off. Behind me, the reception hall erupted. Voices overlapping, chairs scraping, people shouting over each other. I could hear my mother's cries, her sharp voice cutting through the noise, how could you do this to him? My father-in-law's booming roar answered back, accusing, defending, demanding explanations. And in the middle of it, my bride was on the floor in her white dress, mascara streaking down her cheeks, sobbing like she was the victim. I wanted to keep walking, out the doors, into the night, never look back. But my body froze halfway down the corridor. My chest heaved. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was humiliation that seared into me like acid. My entire family, her entire family, all our friends, every single guest, they all now had the same picture burned into their minds. Me, the fool, the man whose wife couldn't even wait until the ink on the marriage license dried. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. I heard footsteps behind me. It was my best man, pale and shaking, his tie undone. Man, I'm so sorry. We didn't know. We thought she was just drunk. No one thought, he stopped himself, because even he couldn't make excuses for what they'd seen. Do you want me to take you home? He asked, voice low. I shook my head. I don't even know where home is anymore. He flinched at that, but didn't argue. Back inside, the chaos was peaking. Guests shouting, some siding with me, some with her, others just standing frozen, unsure if they should leave or stay. My father finally had enough and bellowed, shut it down. The DJ, wide-eyed, cut the music entirely. The hall fell into a raw, ugly silence, broken only by my wife's hiccuping sobs. Her father turned on me, pointing, his face red as a furnace. You don't humiliate her like that. Not in front of everyone. I spun on him, rage bubbling over. She humiliated me. She destroyed this marriage before it even began. He lunged like he wanted to swing at me, but two uncles held him back, shouting, not here. My bride crawled to her feet, swaying, pleading, please, please, I was drunk. I don't even remember, but the words sounded hollow, pathetic. And then, as if things weren't bad enough, the groomsman, the one who had been in the bathroom, actually had the audacity to speak. He muttered, it was a mistake, his voice trembling, eyes on the floor. The crowd erupted again, people jeering, shouting insults, some guests calling him filth, others pulling their kids closer so they wouldn't hear. I stared at him, the man I had trusted, and my rage boiled so hot I actually stepped forward, fists raised, ready to drop him in front of everyone. My best man had to grab me, hold me back, whispering, he's not worth prison, man. He's not worth it. And he was right. But oh God, how badly I wanted to put him through the floor. My wife reached for me, but I yanked my arm back so violently she stumbled. Her veil slipped completely off, landing in a puddle of spilled champagne, trampled under a guest's heel. A perfect symbol of what was left of our marriage, trashed, stomped on, worthless. I finally forced myself to leave, for real this time. I pushed open the doors to the night air, cold wind hitting my face, my lungs sucking in oxygen like I'd been drowning. My best man followed, staying a few steps behind, not saying a word. I walked to the car, sat on the hood, and buried my face in my hands. The silence outside was deafening compared to the war zone I'd left behind. For a long time, I just sat there, shaking, trying to process the unprocessable. Inside, the reception was still burning down like a house fire. Families fractured, friendships ended, reputations shattered. And all of it because the woman I thought I'd spend my life with couldn't even give me one faithful night. I thought stepping outside would calm things down, but weddings don't just quietly die. They collapse in slow motion, dragging everyone with them. I sat on the hood of my car, staring at the pavement, my chest still heaving, when the doors behind me slammed open again. Guests started spilling out into the parking lot, some arguing, some crying, some on their phones calling taxis or rideshares. It looked less like the end of a wedding and more like the aftermath of a bar fight. My best man stood nearby, hands in his pockets, not saying a word, just keeping guard in case I lost it completely. And then I saw her. My bride. She stumbled out, barefoot now, mascara running in black rivers down her cheeks, clutching at her father's arm as if he could hold her upright. When her eyes found me, she broke away from him, crying, "Please. Please, just talk to me." She rushed toward me, hands outstretched, like I was the only thing keeping her from drowning. I backed up. "Don't," I said, my voice shaking. "Don't touch me." She froze, sobbing harder. It was a mistake, I swear, I don't even remember, but I cut her off with a bitter laugh that sounded more like a bark. "You don't remember? That's your excuse? You can't not remember being bent over in a bathroom on our wedding night." Gasps from the crowd. People were hanging back, pretending not to listen while very obviously listening. She crumpled to the ground in her dress, wailing, "I ruined everything." Her mother came running, kneeling beside her, stroking her hair, glaring at me like I was the monster. "You didn't have to announce it to everyone," her mother spat, voice dripping with venom. "You could have handled this privately." My chest clenched. Privately? You think walking in on your daughter screwing one of my best friends is something that stays private? You think I could have just smiled through the night, cut the cake, danced the dance, and pretended nothing happened? Her mother's lips tightened, and she looked away. My father stepped up then, his voice like thunder. "That boy is finished," he growled, pointing toward the hall where the groomsmen still lingered in shame. Some of my cousins had already cornered him inside, voices raised, threatening to drag him outside. The tension was thick, ready to explode into violence. My bride's father puffed his chest, yelling, "No one touches him. This is between them," pointing at me and his daughter. But that was the problem, it wasn't just between us anymore. It was between everyone who had been forced to witness the implosion of a marriage before it even began. My best man finally snapped. He shouted over the chaos, "Enough. It's over. He's done. She's done. Everyone just go home." The command in his voice silenced a few, but not her. She crawled toward me on her knees, clutching the hem of my suit pants, sobbing, "Don't leave me. Please, we can fix this. We can get counseling, I yanked my leg back like her touch burned. "No. You killed it. 2 hours in and you killed it." She let out a sound that wasn't even human, half scream, half sob, collapsing flat onto the asphalt in her once beautiful dress. And all I could do was stare down at her, realizing the woman I thought I loved was gone. Not dead. Worse. She was still alive, but everything between us was ash. Sirens wailed in the distance, not for us, but close enough that neighbors had probably called the cops on the noise. That was my cue. I climbed into my car, my best man sliding into the passenger seat, and for the first time that day, I didn't look back. As I pulled out of the lot, the last thing I saw was her on her knees in the headlights, screaming my name into the night. The morning after felt like waking up after a bomb had gone off. My phone was a war zone of missed calls, texts, voicemails. Family, friends, coworkers, people I hadn't spoken to in years, all blowing me up with, "Are you okay? And what happened?" And of course, the screenshots. Someone had filmed part of the chaos, shaky footage of me dragging my wife out of the bathroom, my voice cracking as I announced it to the crowd. By sunrise, it had already leaked onto social media. Not viral, but enough that everyone in our circle knew. Enough to make me want to crawl into a hole. I didn't eat. Didn't shower. Just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor while my best man crashed on the couch, snoring. My suit jacket was still on the chair, streaked with champagne and smeared with her makeup where she'd grabbed me. I wanted to burn it. Around noon, there was a knock at the door. Not the polite kind, the pounding kind. I opened it to find my father, jaw clenched, eyes hard. He didn't hug me. Didn't even ask if I was okay. He just said, "We're handling it." I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't ask. He stormed into my apartment, pacing, muttering about her family blaming me for humiliating her, how they wanted to spin the story that I overreacted, that she was too drunk to consent. That line made my stomach churn. She wasn't drunk enough to not know what she was doing. But in their version, I was the bad guy, the groom who shamed his bride in public, turned a mistake into a spectacle. My father jabbed a finger at me. "Do not let them control the narrative. You tell the truth. Loud. Clear." His voice cracked. "Don't you dare let them make you the villain." He left as abruptly as he came. I sat there shaking, realizing this wasn't just heartbreak anymore, it was politics. Families against families. Reputations. Pride. And then the texts started rolling in from her. First, apologizing. Then begging. Then angry. "Please talk to me. I can't live without you. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. We can fix this. You owe me a chance." I didn't reply. But the one that broke me was the photo she sent, a selfie of her face swollen from crying, still in the wreck of her wedding dress, mascara streaked like war paint, with the words, "Please don't let this be the end." My hands shook so hard I dropped the phone. By evening, I got another knock. This time, when I opened the door, it wasn't her. It was him. The groomsman. The man I trusted. He looked wrecked, hair a mess, eyes bloodshot, wearing the same clothes from the night before. He didn't wait for me to speak. He just said, "I'm so sorry," and his voice cracked. I stared at him, silent, every muscle in my body screaming to slam the door in his face. But I didn't. I let him stand there in his guilt, shifting on his feet, waiting for me to respond. Finally, I asked the only question that mattered: how long? His eyes dropped. A few weeks. My vision blurred with rage. Weeks. Not one drunken mistake. Not one horrible lapse in judgment. A pattern. A secret. A betrayal that started long before I caught them. He looked up, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "I swear, I never meant to fall for her. It just happened." My laugh was hollow, broken. You don't fall. You choose. And you chose to destroy me. He tried to speak again, but I slammed the door so hard the walls shook. My best man stirred on the couch, groggy, asking, "Who was that?" I sat down, burying my face in my hands, whispering the truth I never wanted to admit out loud. It wasn't an accident. It was an affair. I should have expected it, but when the pounding came on my door again that evening, I knew instantly it wasn't my father, and it wasn't him. It was her. I froze, staring at the wood like it was a loaded gun. My best man stirred on the couch, muttering, "Don't," but I couldn't help myself. I opened the door. And there she was, hair a tangled mess, eyes swollen, still wearing the same ruined wedding dress from the night before. It was filthy, smeared with mascara, mud, and spilled wine. She looked like a ghost of the woman I married. The second she saw me, she collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing, "Please, please don't shut me out." I stood there, arms crossed, every muscle stiff. "You need to leave," I said flatly. She shook her head violently, clutching my shirt with trembling fingers. "No. No, I can't. Please just hear me. One mistake shouldn't end us. We can fix it. I'll do anything. Therapy. Rehab. Whatever it takes." My laugh was sharp and bitter. "One mistake? You think that was one mistake?" He told me. "Weeks. Weeks, you've been sneaking around with him." She froze, the color draining from her face. Her mouth opened but no words came out. That silence was louder than any confession. My best man walked up behind me, glaring at her. "You need to go," he snapped. "You've done enough." But she shoved past me, stumbling into my apartment, dropping her heels on the floor with a clatter. "Please. I swear, it wasn't like that. It was stupid, it was reckless, it was nothing compared to you." She reached for me again, but I stepped back. "Nothing compared to me?" I said through clenched teeth. "You destroyed me. You destroyed us. Do you realize what it felt like, seeing you like that, in your wedding dress, hours after you promised me forever?" Her sobs shook her whole body. "I was drunk. You don't understand." I slammed my fist against the wall, making her jump. "Stop blaming the alcohol. Drunk people tell the truth. And you told me the truth with your actions." For a moment, the room went dead silent except for her ragged breathing. Then she whispered, "I don't love him. I love you." My best man scoffed, muttering, "Hell of a way to show it." She spun toward him, shrieking, "Stay out of this. This is between us." The sound of her voice cracked like glass. She turned back to me, her face blotchy, desperate. "Please. If you walk away, I have nothing. I'll end up." She cut herself off, biting her lip, eyes wild with panic. My stomach twisted. I wanted to feel pity, but I couldn't. Not anymore. I walked to the door, opened it wide, and said, "Leave. Now. Before I start hating you more than I already do." She crumpled, clutching her chest like the word stabbed her, but after a long, trembling pause, she staggered back outside. As I shut the door, she whispered through her tears, "I'll make you forgive me. I swear." And the sound of it chilled me more than the betrayal itself. I thought throwing her out would be the end of it, but endings don't come that easy. The next morning my phone buzzed nonstop. Not just texts now, notifications. Social media. Someone had leaked more videos from the reception. Not just the clip of me dragging her out, but audio from guests whispering about what they saw, and even one grainy photo of her stumbling out of the bathroom, dress askew, eyes glassy. By breakfast, the internet had done what the internet does, turned my private hell into a public circus. Comments ranged from strangers calling me a hero for standing up for myself, to trolls mocking me as the 2-hour husband, a punchline in memes and threads I never wanted to exist. My stomach churned as I scrolled. My best man told me to stop looking, but I couldn't. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion where I was tied to the tracks. My family was split. My mom called, crying, begging me to let her come over. My dad texted me, "Lawyer up. Don't talk to anyone without counsel." Her family, meanwhile, painted me as the villain. According to them, she was too drunk to know what she was doing, and I had publicly humiliated her instead of protecting her. My blood boiled reading that. Protect her? She wasn't the one who walked in on her spouse in the middle of betrayal. She wasn't the one whose vows turned to ashes before the ink dried. By midday, her cousin messaged me, she's in bad shape. Please talk to her before she does something stupid. That stopped me cold. I hated her, but I didn't want her dead. My best man saw the look on my face and said, don't. It's manipulation. Maybe it was. But the pit in my stomach told me to at least make sure. I drove to her parents' house, every mile heavier than the last. When I pulled up, I saw her through the window, pacing the living room in sweats, hair tied back, looking nothing like the bride from 2 days ago. She saw me through the glass, froze, then bolted to the door. The second she opened it, she burst into tears, collapsing into my chest. I stiffened, arms at my sides, but she clung to me like a lifeline. Please, please, I can't breathe without you. Everyone hates me. You're all I have. Her mother hovered nearby, glaring at me, muttering, you broke her. That nearly made me laugh out loud. I broke her? No, she broke herself. But standing there, her sobs soaking my shirt, I felt something worse than anger, pity. And pity is dangerous. It makes you weak. Her father joined, voice low, measured. We need to control the narrative. For both your sakes. Annul quietly. Or reconcile. But don't let this drag on in public. My head spun. Annul? Reconcile? As if either option could erase what happened. My voice cracked as I finally spoke. You all care more about saving face than saving me. Her mother snapped, marriage is about forgiveness. My laugh was hollow. Marriage is about trust. And that's gone. I pulled her off me gently, stepped back, and said the words that made her collapse to the floor again. You're not my wife. Not anymore. As I turned to leave, I caught sight of her groomsman lover's car parked a block away, engine running, him hunched low in the driver's seat like a coward. That's when I realized the humiliation wasn't going away. It was going to follow me like a shadow, no matter what I did next. Seeing his car idling down the street was like gasoline on the fire already raging in my chest. I walked straight toward it before I could even think, fists clenched, blood pounding in my ears. He saw me coming and panicked, fumbling with his keys like he was about to drive off, but I yanked the door open before he could. Get out, I growled. He stammered, man, please, let's just talk, but I wasn't in the mood for talks. I grabbed his shirt and dragged him onto the curb. He stumbled, nearly falling, hands up like I was pointing a gun at him. Say it, I demanded. Say it to my face. How long? How many times? His lips trembled, eyes darting like a trapped animal. Weeks. Only a few weeks. It wasn't supposed to happen. I swear I didn't mean. I cut him off by shoving him hard against his own car. You didn't mean to? You stood next to me at the altar while sneaking around with her. You were supposed to be my brother. You were supposed to protect me, not screw my wife behind a bathroom door. His eyes glistened. I'm sorry. The word sounded so small, so pathetic, like it could somehow cover the crater he'd blown in my life. My laugh came out sharp, bitter. Sorry doesn't erase the pictures burned into my brain. Sorry doesn't give me back my wedding. Sorry doesn't fix the fact that you're the reason my family is split in half. He tried to step forward, hands out like he was begging, but my best man appeared out of nowhere, grabbing my shoulder. Stop. He's not worth it. Don't give him the satisfaction of dragging you down with him. I wanted to punch him so badly my hands shook, but I forced myself to step back, chest heaving, rage simmering. The groomsman looked at me with this broken expression, like he expected forgiveness, like he thought maybe one day we'd laugh about this. That look pushed me over the edge. Listen carefully, I said, voice low, shaking with fury. You're dead to me. You were never my friend. If I see you again, anywhere near me, near my family, near her, I won't stop myself next time. His face fell. He nodded, muttering, okay, before scrambling back into his car. He drove off fast, tires screeching, leaving the stink of burnt rubber behind. I stood there trembling, my best man gripping my arm to keep me from collapsing. Inside the house, I could hear her still crying, still begging her parents to call me back in. It hit me then, I wasn't just betrayed by a wife and a friend. I'd been betrayed by people who never valued me in the first place. And that betrayal wasn't going to fade in a week, or a month, or maybe even a lifetime. For the first time since the bathroom, I felt clarity, not peace, not closure, just clarity. I couldn't fix this. I couldn't forgive it. All I could do was walk away and try to build something new from the ashes. But even as I told myself that, a voice in the back of my head whispered the cruelest truth. No matter what I built, people would always remember me as the groom whose marriage died in a bathroom stall. The following week was a blur of paperwork and poison. My father was right, I needed a lawyer, and fast. The annulment process was brutal, not because it was complicated, but because every form, every signature, felt like chiseling the words marriage failed into stone. My lawyer was calm, clinical, assuring me it was better this way. 2 hours married meant we could erase it like it never happened. But the world doesn't forget. Not when half the guests posted their versions online. Every time I opened my phone, I saw new threads dissecting the story, strangers debating whether she was a monster or just a drunk girl who made a mistake. My name trended in our town for days, reduced to a joke, the 2-hour husband. And the worst part? She wasn't staying quiet. She started posting cryptic messages online, pictures of her crying with captions like, "When love is stolen from you," or "People only see one side." Her friends shared them, painting me as the cold-hearted man who abandoned his bride instead of working through it. I wanted to scream. To post the whole truth. To upload the photo burned into my brain of her bent over in that bathroom stall. But I couldn't. Because deep down I knew the internet didn't care about the truth. It cared about entertainment. Meanwhile, my lawyer warned me that she might try to fight the annulment. She could claim you humiliated her in public, that you were emotionally abusive, he explained. My jaw nearly snapped from clenching so hard. She cheated on me in a bathroom stall at our wedding. And I'm the abuser? He just sighed, adjusting his tie. In divorce and annulments, perception matters as much as facts. That night, she showed up again. Not drunk this time. Sober. Calm. Dressed neatly, makeup done, like she was trying to rewind the clock and erase the wreckage. I didn't let her inside. We spoke through the barely open door. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wild. Please. Don't do this. Don't throw us away. We can go to counseling, we can move away, start fresh. No one has to know. My laugh was sharp. No one has to know? The entire internet knows. She flinched, her lips trembling. I'll delete everything. I'll tell everyone it was a lie. I'll say it never happened. That desperation sent chills down my spine. She wasn't trying to save me. She was trying to save herself, her reputation, her image. You don't get it, I said quietly. There's no us. You killed that. It's over. Her tears finally cracked through the mask, streaming down her face. She whispered, "If you leave me, I have nothing. I'll end it." My stomach clenched. It was the kind of threat you're not supposed to ignore. But I saw the manipulation in her eyes, the calculation. She wanted to tether me to her with guilt. I stepped back, voice shaking but firm. If you really mean that, then you need help. But I'm not your hostage. I shut the door slowly, locking it. On the other side, I could hear her sobbing, pounding, whispering my name until finally the sound faded into the night. My best man sat on the couch, watching, his face pale. "She's not done," he muttered. And I knew he was right. Because people who burn everything down don't just walk away, they dig through the ashes, looking for a way to pull you back in. The annulment went through faster than I expected, but slower than I wanted. Every trip to my lawyer's office felt like ripping a bandage off a wound that refused to close. The papers were finally signed, the ink drying on the legal erasure of my marriage, and yet the stain on my life remained. My lawyer slid the final document across the table, saying, "You're free." The word felt hollow. Freedom didn't feel like peace. It felt like being emptied out. My phone still buzzed every day with whispers from people who thought they had the right to weigh in. Some told me I dodged a bullet. Others called me weak for not fighting to fix it. Strangers on the internet joked that I should start a support group for 2-hour marriages. Every laugh came at my expense. She didn't make it easy, either. Even after the annulment, she kept reaching out. Emails, burner accounts, even letters slipped under my apartment door. Always the same desperate tone, apologies, promises, begging for one more chance. But mixed in were barbs, accusations, claims that I humiliated her, that I had abandoned her when she needed me most. She wanted to rewrite the story, twist the truth until I was the villain. But the truth was branded into me. You don't erase the image of your bride bent over in a bathroom stall while your groomsman whispers in her ear. That scar doesn't fade. My best man stuck by me through it all, even when I pushed him away. He said something one night that stuck with me. It's not about how long the marriage lasted. It's about what you do after it ends. At first I hated hearing that. But slowly, painfully, it started to make sense. I realized I had two choices: let this define me forever, or let it be the wreckage I climbed out of. I won't pretend it was easy. Therapy helped. Cutting ties with toxic friends helped. Time helped the most. Eventually, the whispers died down, the memes stopped circulating, and people found new scandals to obsess over. But I never forgot. I don't think I ever will. What I learned is this: betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your reflection. You look in the mirror and wonder if you were blind, if you were a fool, if you were somehow the reason. And then one day you wake up and realize the betrayal said more about them than it ever said about you. It took me a long time to get there. But now, when people ask about my marriage, I don't tell them the whole story. I just say it didn't work out. Because the truth is too heavy to hand to strangers. The truth is mine to carry, and carry it I will. My marriage ended in 2 hours, but the lessons will last a lifetime. And maybe one day, when I stand at another altar, if I ever do, I'll remember not the bathroom, not the humiliation, not the laughter of strangers, but the strength it took to walk away before I lost myself completely.